Hi everyone, this is Edgar. I will be doing the walkthrough today. Uh, just so everyone knows, this walkthrough is more of a refresher. It's not an actual training. There's a lot of stuff that will probably, well, that will be, there's already going to be data in the forms. So we're just going to talk through it a little bit. We won't spend too much time on it, but if you are, or if you do need question or need help on one of the forms, give us a call at the office and then we can help you through it. We're gonna just wait a few minutes before we actually get into the application, just in case there's any stragglers coming on. But in the meantime, I have the Word document to show you who's gonna be the person that will be reviewing your application. So for example, if your county and district code starts with the 01, then Tammy Flute will be reaching out to you. Or if you've completed your application, feel free to email her. Right now, the application cannot be completed since Schedule B as in boy is locked. And we'll talk more about that once we get there. But this will be your point of contact when your application is being reviewed and approved. I'm just going to scoot down a little bit so I can get a few more others in there. One moment. So there's still a few more down on the list. I'm just gonna go slow as I can. And yes, we will be emailing this information out as well, probably early next week, if not earlier. Okay, so we will be moving on. Like I said before, we will be sending out this information in an email as well. Let me switch over to this. Okay, so as we go through here, if you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. And one of the ladies here in the office is helping me with those chats as well. And that way we can just ask any or answer any questions while we're in that form. So for right now, I'm gonna log in as a authorized rep. And now that I'm logged in as an authorized rep, you will notice up here, the baby blue box says 2022. That is because you as a authorized rep have to insert the 23 application. If you're a district user where you can only save and enter information, you won't be able to do these next steps. You have to be an authorized rep. So on the gold stripe, click on add new renewal application.
We still can't see that screen right now. We're still on the Word page.
One moment, guys. I'm being informed that we're not seeing the same screen. One moment. Thank you, everyone. Sorry about that. I wasn't sharing the right screen. Okay, so let me log out again. I apologize. Haven't been using Zoom in a while. So okay, so we're gonna log in. So up here, you won't see the 23 right away because you, as an authorized, have to insert that application. If you're a district user where you can only save and enter information, then you won't be able to do these next steps. You have to be an authorized rep. So on the left-hand side on the gold stripe, you'll click on Add New Renewal Application. Then you will see this grid box. As you can see, it says 22 as the most current one. But down here at the bottom of the screen, you'll see this Add New Renewal Application button. This grid box will open up. Simply click NSLP/SSO. And then this information here will auto-populate for your school. And then for the fiscal year, you will type in 2023, then click Submit. And you will just wait a few seconds. Oh, you won't see that message. That should not have came up. Is it not working? Yeah. Is it not that one? No. No, it's the same screen. Oh. Can everyone see this screen right here? Okay. Okay. So let me take a quick pause. Something's going on where this was working. I don't know what happened there. One moment. Can you see that, Becky? Okay, I'm gonna use this one as an example. So right now, after you click submit, you will see that you have a 23 application, but the system will automatically take you to the SFA maintenance page, which is this page. When you're on this page, you're gonna get another message that says you have to review and certify that the authorized rep section is correct. That would be this section. You as the school user will not be able to change this. Yes, you have to contact our office to have us update it, but as long as you know if it's correct or if it's not correct, but you know that you've contacted us to let us know the situation, you will see a green paragraph right around here. And under that green paragraph, click on the authorized rep circle button. And then there's also a certified button right under the green paragraph. And then click on that. Once you do that, it will allow you to go to the checklist which is up here on the top right-hand corner in the baby blue box. Because we want this information to be correct, but we also don't want to hold up your application from being worked on, because we understand some of you have to get a new certificate of authority for your new superintendent, or maybe there's a new director, and we do realize that could take a few days to get to us. So as long as you make us aware of the situation, go ahead and move on with this step. But other than that, yes, you can update the superintendent section if you need to. There's the save button as well. The fresh fruit, seamless summer, and the summer food contact, these aren't not required, but if you participate in those programs, go ahead and fill that information in and then click on the save contact button as well. And then down here, a lot of this will be grayed out for you as well. It's only for us SDE, just look over it. Normally the attendance factor, we don't do any changes there unless you're having a message come up in your claims. There's this 2 cents. Some of you get an additional 2 cents and some of you don't. If you know you do, you check this box. That is something we will be looking at before or when you're submitting your August claims, because we want to make sure you're getting your 2 cents if you qualify for that. One way to maybe look at that is going back to your fiscal year 2020 application, and then look on the claim side, and then when you look at your NSLP claims, you can see if you get the 2 cents there for lunch. This is a performance incentive. You won't be able to access these either. This is if you find that you don't have these boxes checked, give us a call. Maybe there's a reason you don't, or they're not checked, or maybe your school doesn't receive the performance incentive, which is those 7 cents for your lunches that you serve. So for the most part, they should all be checked, and we could just move forward there. Again, this is attendance factor. We can move on from there. It's grayed out for you as well. So this area will be grayed out for you as well. I have access to it right now, but what you're wanting to make sure here is if you know your CEP or provision 2 or 3 or non-pricing, you should have at least one of these boxes checked. If you don't, give us a call and we can look into that as well. Nikki Assad handles more of these programs, and she'll be the best one to help us with these questions as well. If right now the equipment grant is not available, so disregard that. Well, actually, some of you might have access to this box that will be taken away soon. It should work like this fresh fruit application box where it's grayed out. If you need access to the fresh fruit application, give us a call, because we need to check this box so that you have access to it. We're updating how this is being accessed as well in the near future. And the fresh fruit application, yes, it is available to fill out. There is a deadline, and I believe it's August 26. We can double check on that to make sure. Your DUNS number, all this area, most of it is grayed out as well. As many of you know, the DUNS number went away, but we still have it here just for record purposes. What we are needing now is your UEI number. It just took place of the DUNS. And most of you have already got that to us, so thank you. That you did a good job of getting that to us right away. If for some reason you don't have this in here, don't worry, we will get it in there. It just didn't roll over properly from the fiscal year, from last year, 22. As long as this date is still correct or current, then you will be able to do claims as well. Because when that date expires and we don't have the most current information for your school, when you try to do a claim, it'll say your UEI has expired. A lot of this just rolled over. We could just leave these as is. Most of this won't change, but If you know your times have changed for the school, go ahead and change that. And then keep in mind, this is an example. This school probably doesn't go through these times here. Maybe they do. If you're a 5-day or a 4-day school, go ahead and click that. Um, for a school, we have certain people assigned to your school, but you can always just call us, and Becky, Nikki, or Rhonda, or Karen, or myself can help you with any questions. You don't always have to stick to this one person. This is more of a FYI. And then Rhonda Stevens is a field consultant, which is they have a new title, regional specialist. Uh, so in this case for Kiefer, her consultant is Rhonda Stevens, um, which is the person that comes out to review your school every 3 or 5 years. This auto populates. This should be okay, but if you have questions on this, just give us a call. So now that we've looked over everything and it looks okay, and we've certified the authorized rep section, like I said before, there's a green paragraph right here if you haven't done it already. I've done it for this school already in this test area, so that's why it's not there. But now that everything looks okay, we're gonna go ahead and move over to the checklist. Karen, is there any questions? Oh, Becky just mentioned to me there's a school had a question about they have a split calendar where some days they're 5 and 4. Um, for right now, go ahead and put 5. We will probably have to just follow up with you and see what would be the best way to put that in there. Because if you put 4 days, for the most part, you'll be okay to do claims, but there's 1 month or 2 where it'll say that you're operating too many days for 4 days a week. But give us a call on that and we can see what we can do to update the application. We had another question about if you don't see the FY23. Let me just go back. I just want to make sure we're understanding correctly. So if you don't see this FY23, you want to click on this add new renewal button, and then type in the 2023 in the box. Oh, disregard that. I'm not sure if you're not able to get this box to pop up and put 2023, email me or give me a call after this training and we can see if there's something going on with your application. But clicking this button right here and putting in 2023 will get your application in. So we're gonna go back to the checklist. Okay, so when you, on your end, keep in mind, I'm in a test area and I am logged in as me, Edgar, SDE level. When you log in as an authorized rep, all these forms will not be accessible starting from Schedule A and down. There might be 1 or 2 where you can access it, but the reason for that is because you first have to fill out and certify the permanent policy statement. You will also get a message on the screen that pops up and says that in order to fill out the forms on the checklist, you have to certify the permanent policy statement. A lot of the information is going to roll over from last year, so just make sure to go over it. Most of it should be the same, I would think. If there is a change, update it to what it should be for this application. If you're with a food service management company, you'll check this box. And then just remember, if it's your 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year or 5th year, we need your renewal amendment before we can approve your application. I think we might have got most of those in already, but we really need those as soon as possible. Karen and Becky are your point of contacts for food service management questions. Um, when you're filling these out, just make sure the main thing about this form and this section is just making sure that the email addresses are correct. That way we can ensure people are getting the mass emails. Earlier this month, we found out some people weren't getting mass emails, which it was just a misunderstanding on our part. We figured out what it was. It was an error on our part. Again, just checking the email addresses. Okay. Number of food personnel. Uh, when you're filling this one out, make sure that, like if you have 7 here, when you do your site applications, it also asks how many food service personnel are at each site. Whenever you put those numbers in there, just make sure they add up to 7 as well. We just want the application to be consistent. Um, in this example, I'm just gonna say, for example, 6 people are actually in the kitchen, and then 1 person is at the office, like the child nutrition coordinator. Go ahead and put them in here. We still consider that as being part of the food service staff. One thing we did add is this number 9 box. What you have to do here before you can certify or save the form is you do have to check that box. On number 10, this is new too. We need to know this information. We just want to make sure that we're able to provide you the most efficient applications or forms to best help you and your school students or families. That way they're just more aware of the program or understand how the program operates. For example, some schools, they have Spanish speaking families. So in those situations, from what I understand, they pass out, they give them free and reduced meal applications in Spanish. If you need some other language, for example, Vietnamese, USDA does have a website where they offer those translated applications, and we can get that to you as well. For the most part, most people will probably put English here. And then this one, we added this one as well, number 11. Just look over it, and if you feel it's a yes, then mark yes, and then put whatever the reason is, and we'll follow up with you shortly. Because we, like I said, we want to make sure we're getting the right stuff to you as well. Um, we had a question about, there's a school that's still going through the process with the food service management company, or they're still in the hiring process for their staff, so they're not quite exactly sure how many staff members they're going to have. Go ahead and use your best guesstimate, and then if later down the road we need to change it, we can update it then. Because keep in mind, we can always update these applications or forms throughout the year too if needed. Like I said, this information here usually just rolls over from last year. But if you have any questions, maybe follow up with us so we can provide you the best information there. Same here, same thing. These roll over. Look over these. Do what fits best for your school. And same thing here. These just roll over. And then I'm gonna go back to the checklist. So in this situation, like I went ahead and certified the form. So now I'm able to access all these forms here. So first I'm gonna go to Schedule A. So in Schedule A, we're basically looking over this data, making sure all my sites are listed, and then all the grades are listed properly for national school lunch. If the school is regular breakfast or severe need breakfast, also known as SMB, special milk program, this school doesn't have that. And then in this case, the school is going to participate in after school snacks. I'm gonna unapprove this form real quick. So if you find that you need to update something on here, on the right side, click edit. And then the site will turn this baby blue color, and then you can make the changes that you need to. And then once you do, then go ahead and click save on the right side. And you should be squared away. The reason I bring this up is because we're gonna make an update to this form in the near future where you won't have access to these boxes right here until after you click edit. Because right now it looks like I'm making the change, and then if I certify the form, it looks like you made a change, but when you get out and you go back into the form, it's still the old option that was there previously before making the change. Is there any questions on this form?
There was one. She wanted to know for pre-K was early childhood. It was not their fault. It was not a pre-K.
Yes, so we had a question if EC is the same thing as pre-K. As far as I understand, the answer to that is yes. So you won't see pre-K, go ahead and click EC instead. Okay. Just gonna reapprove that form. One thing to note, when you're done with this form, click certify, and then when you go back to the checklist, make sure there's a green lock. If there's not a green lock, go back into the form and certify it one more time, and then it should have a green lock on it. For some reason, when you click it, the certify it the first time, it doesn't put a green padlock on it right away. We had another question. If the school is participating in CACFP, do they need to check these boxes? And the answer to that is yes. It's column number 7 and column number 8. If you did, or if you're doing CACFP or summer, go ahead and click edit and then just check the boxes. This is more of a FYI for us. And also it does auto populate in site applications, which we'll show you here shortly. Is that all, Becky? Do I have a green mark on my screen? I don't know why that is. I don't know. Okay, so one form you won't have access to right now is Schedule B, meal prices. I'm gonna click on it right now since I have access to it. But if you really have questions about this, give us a call. Maybe Becky or Nikki could help us, and Karen. Because so far I've been getting questions on what can I charge my reduced children, and the maximum you can charge for reduced breakfast is 30 cents, and for lunch the maximum you can charge is 40 cents, and for the snacks the maximum you can charge is 15 cents. And it's also right here on the right side.
Back so quickly.
And then when we have the rates from USDA, we will put them in the system and email you as well. We will also be updating this information to give you the information for the adults and staff. These numbers right here are just examples because remember I'm in a test environment. So I try different amounts to make sure the system's doing what it's supposed to. So disregard this for right now, but we'll have the right dollar amounts when we have the rates from USDA. Hopefully, maybe this month, possibly early next month. But once we know, we will email you. So you'll put your prices in here. And if you have any zeros, for example, like this one, the system's gonna ask you to make a comment as to why you have a zero in there. Just use your best judgment. In this case, this is just an example. It's not really the reason for it being up here, for the zeros being up there, but usually if a school is charging less for their if the school is charging less than the required amount for their meals that go to the adults or staff, they normally make up the difference with their general fund paying the utilities from the kitchen. And that's just one example. You know, if you do this, if you don't know if you do this, normally just going back to your maybe fiscal 2020 application will probably be your best bet. That way you can kind of maybe remind yourself of what you did in that year. Because for 21 and 22, we were in SSO. It might be the same thing, but you'd have to just check in there. If you have questions about the paid meals, we do have a PLE tool report, but if you need that, reach out to Becky Gray in our office and she can get that over to you. Right now, for this, going into this school year, schools were not required to do a PLE tool if they were in a positive or zero balance for child nutrition as of December 31st, 2021, which was just 7 months ago. Before we can approve your application, we do need a revenue expenditure report. Becky mentioned some schools call it a revenue expenditure analysis report. So we need to see what your income and expenses were for child nutrition as of December 31st. And again, if you were in the positive or zero balance as of December 31st, you're exempt from doing the PLE tool, but we have to have that report. Previously, we have sent some information out and it said expenditure report, but we're finding out just so many of you have different financial programs. And then for in your finance programs, maybe there's, they have a different name on the report, but we want to see what your income was, what your expenses were, and then what was the final dollar amount balance as of December 31st in your child nutrition account. When you do have that, email it to the person. Actually, we have the CMP email address, which we'll get that to you. Let me see if somebody can get that to you here. One of the ladies will be putting it in the chat, the CMP email address. And when you do email it, make sure to put your county and district code in the subject line if possible. That way we just know it's from your school. And then go ahead and certify the form. Before I move on to another form, is there any questions on this? So I'm just waiting for Becky here. One moment. Okay, so we're gonna move on to another form. Some of you asked about not seeing your 23 application again. Becky will probably follow up with you in the chat. You do have to insert it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you will not be able to access Schedule B as in boy. Yes, it is locked. It will not be locked until we get the rates. And once we have the rates, we'll send it out to the schools and then unlock Schedule B, which will also be in the email to let you know that it's currently locked. Schedule C, as in Charlie, severe need breakfast. I'm gonna click on that. So as many of you know, this data is based on the second preceding year, which would be fiscal year 21. We will need to know your total lunches served for free, reduced, and paid throughout that year. Because of everything that went on with COVID, USDA allowed us to use 2020, which is 3 years ago, which is real good because in 21, we don't have any free, reduced, or paid. So for 2020, we have the system to auto-populate these amounts. If you don't see numbers in here already, maybe try deleting what's in there and hopefully it'll reinsert the right numbers. Or if you're simply still just having issues or any other kind of issue, give me a call and I can look at it. But for the most part, it'll auto-populate. What you're looking for right here as well is on this column number 6, if it's equal to or more than 40%, then your site is eligible for severe need breakfast. So make sure when you're doing your claims that you're being reimbursed for severe need breakfast. And we'll talk about the claims when we get there. The good thing is the system will only unlock one of the 2 breakfasts. So you're either breakfast or your severe need breakfast. If you agree with everything after reviewing these numbers, go ahead and approve it or certify it, and then we'll approve it once we're looking over your application. And if you have a site that's under 40%, go ahead and just delete it because it will not be eligible for severe need breakfast. And when we look over your application, we'll take it out as well in case it was just overlooked. So in this example, I'm going to click on Schedule D as in dog for the snacks. Some of you probably don't do after school snack programs. So just disregard this portion. But for those of you that actually do use this, I'm going to show you this example here. So let me unapprove this. Let me delete this. So in this form, the numbers will not automatically populate. Like you won't see this right away. If you do after school snacks, what you have to do first is go ahead and select your school, then simply go over to the right side and click insert. Schedule D inserted, and then yes, the system auto populates your numbers from the low income report fiscal year 22. Right now, the percentage for this school shows under 50%. They could still participate in snacks, but when they do their claim, they're gonna have to claim by free, reduced, and paid. If your percentage comes to equal or more than 50%, when you do your claim, you will be able to claim all the snacks at the free rate. And the system is set up as well to only let you do either way. One of the ways. So if you have a site that does, like let's say the high school is eligible, right? Let me insert it. I don't think it's eligible in this example. Yeah, it's not eligible, but let's say it is eligible, right? Let's say it's 58, so it makes it eligible. But the school says we're still serving meals at the elementary and the middle school. We can justify your school, your elementary and middle school, to claim all the meals at the free rate based on the feeding rules that we have in child nutrition. If that's the case for you, give us a call as well to make sure, because we want to make sure your sites are area eligible. And if that's the case, then we'll click on these boxes here and make a comment. For example, the elementary and the middle school are eligible to claim the meals at the free rate based on the high school because it's all in the same area. but that might not be the case for everyone. So just give us a call if you have questions there. Disregard this section here. It's not for you. It's only for us. And then it's related more to RCCIs, which are residential childcare institutions. So if you're good there, go ahead and certify the form. Is there any questions on there, Karen or Becky? We had a question about documents. We'll get to that part here shortly, but for the POE tool, yes, email that in if possible. Oh, yeah. Becky mentioned to me there's a question from Afton. I will give you a call after this meeting because I'll have to look in there and see what you're seeing on your application. Then after Schedule D is certified, you also have to certify this agreement, and you just look over it, review it. If everything looks good to you, go ahead and click I have read and agree with this statement, and then that's certifying it, and then you'll have this information appear as well. And then if from there we can go back to the checklist. Okay, so here's one other question that some of you might get is which attachment E am I supposed to be completing? So if you're a free and reduced meal application school, then you need to do the traditional. If you participate in CEP Provision 2, Provision 3, or non-pricing, fill out this attachment E provision non-pricing for a public release. If you have one site that does free and reduced meal applications and you have another site that does CEP or provision or non-pricing, then you'll have to do both. So we're gonna go ahead and click attachment E traditional. So here I'm gonna put the date that I'm submitting this to the news media. My example is for tomorrow. The news media is the Daily News. You do have to send it to some kind of media outlet. You cannot simply just post it on your website. I think that's a question we've had in previous year is if that was okay. You could still do it, but that doesn't make you compliant. You still have to actually send it out to a news media. And then another question is, if you submit it to the news media, let's say via email, and then they follow up with you and tell you, hey, the Daily News can post it, but they're gonna charge me $500. At that point, it's okay to say that you're not interested. The only requirement we ask you to do is to send it to them. If it gets advertised or not, that's we don't really look into that part. It's just making sure that you did your part to submit it to some media outlet. And number 3, so I already did this example. I added this elementary, but basically what you have to do is, it's 19. You have to add the site for this traditional public release. So for this example, the county and district code is 19I018. And then you still have to put the site number, which is, this elementary was 105. The middle school, I believe, is 505. Let me add that real quick. So once I do that, when I do that, I simply just click here, like in the white area, and then the name will auto-populate. When it's there, I'm just gonna simply click add, and the system adds the site there. And really, we just need accredited sites. No non-accredited sites will go on here. So that's how you do that. if you still need help, just give me a call and I can help you get them in there. Number 5, number 4, and number 5. In this example, the numbers are not in there, but they are in your application that you're seeing if you're logged in right now. The other day I had a typo in some of the numbers, so I fixed that. But double check the numbers just in case I may have looked over something. But in this example, they're not there because I haven't put them in this test area.
That it's showing accounts for 1920 for regular NSLP, but it is not showing accounts that were for SSO from our general account.
And then here I'm just looking over the information. It still looks good. This is still correct. Direct certification. Have we heard, Becky, have we heard anything about that? So direct cert, we haven't heard anything official yet, but it'll probably be available the second week of August. So in talking with Becky, I had a question about this date. Becky mentioned that this date is the day that you pull direct cert. I don't know. Might not. I just feel like this right here, we might need to see, because I don't know. I think this sentence right here. Well, one moment. I'm just here talking with Becky about this. Okay, so I'm talking with Becky because I think there's just a misunderstanding on this one, but we'll try to get clarification and see what we can do to let you know. The way I've understood this date here is, for example, if the parent hasn't been notified that their children are direct cert by this date, and this is just the example that I'm putting in, right? Like if the parent hasn't got a letter from you saying, hey, your child's direct cert by this date, then they need to either call the school because they will most likely need to submit an application. That's what I'm understanding from this part. But put the best date that you can come up with. We'll look into this and get clarification. Don't get stuck too much on this date here. On number 8, in this example, I put Kiefer Central Office, but some of you put the actual address. For example, 2400 North Lincoln Boulevard. Like that's our state agency. If you do that, that's fine. No worries. We accept either way. And then go ahead and save the form, certify it, and approve it. I'm gonna go back to the severe need breakfast. I had a question about the lunches here. So Schedule C is based on national school lunches. Um, and these amounts right here are only through, for example, August through March, NSLP. These will not include SSO March through May when COVID first started. And that's because Schedule C, or your severe need breakfast, is based on national school lunches only and not seamless summer. Okay. We had a question about the public release. Yes, you do. You can post it on your website and then send out messages through phone calls, but at the end of the day, you still have to send it out to some kind of media outlet, like the daily newspaper or a radio broadcast, something to that. So in this, we did the traditional. If you need to do the provision, we're gonna go into that right now. If you know you need to access this provision, but it's not available for you, give us a call. Most likely on the SFA maintenance page, we have to check that your CEP or provision or non-pricing on at the bottom of the SFA page. So that way it will unlock this form for you. So in this situation, we click this box up here. We put the date that it's being submitted to the news media, sending it to the daily news media. This auto populates here. Okay, so here, um, if you know all your sites are CEP or provision or non-pricing, then you'll click this district wide. If you know only one of your sites is doing one of these programs, then you'll click partial and then just click in this box, you will have to type in what site it is. In this example, I'll put elementary. It could be your high school or your middle school. One other twist to this, maybe some of you are elementary. I don't know if CEP would be a good example, but we have some schools where like the elementary, only the breakfast is doing non-pricing. And if that's the case, then type that in there just so the parents are more aware of what's going on. Right now, this is new that we added. It'll auto-populate based on your school's information. This school is not actually CEP, that's why it says none. But you're gonna see your base year and year of reconsideration year in these two boxes. This is new, so if you're seeing something different, give me a call because we try to factor in every situation that we could have for all these schools. But like I said, there's always a little, one school might be just slightly different from another on how they operate, and that might throw this off, but it should be good for the most part. So everything looks good here. Some of you have asked, how do you print this form out? If you click print form, let's go in here. If you click print form, you'll get this grid box down here at the bottom. And then what you have to do is click on this floppy disk icon, and then you just download it to whichever format you like. Probably PDF is best for this report. And then once you do that, it'll either download or just appear on your screen and you can print that out. But it basically just reflects everything that was on the screen. Okay. Okay, we're moving on to the check. Okay, so another thing is, if you filled out the traditional and you filled out the non-pricing and then you realize you weren't supposed to do the traditional, don't worry about it. It's okay. We will simply not approve this. So you'll always have a green lock here. And then as you're filling out the forms and you're certifying them, you will have green padlocks. I have gold locks right now because I've approved everything because your application has to be approved. So that way the system will allow you to do claims. And if you certify a form and then you're like, oh, I need to update some information on there, you could still go into the form and update it and then just click certify again. It will save the new information. You don't need to call us to unlock the form because it's still available for you. It's only really locked when we approve it. Just a FYI. Okay, so we're gonna go to attachment F, collection procedures. We're just looking over this, reading over it. Okay, so if you're CEP provision or non-pricing, you're gonna click this box. If you do free and reduced meal applications, don't check this box. A lot of this information just rolls over, look over it, read over it. If it's still current, then leave it as is. If you know something has changed, go ahead and update it to what it would be for this fiscal year. A lot of schools basically just keep the same methods every year. The only thing that I see that we have to follow up on is here. This form asks for the titles. So like cafeteria manager, which is good. And they added the name of the person. That's okay too, because she has the actual title on here. But if only the name of the person was on here, then we would follow up with the school to say, hey, we need the title added on there. But we really just only need the title. But if you do both, that's okay. And that's the only things I've seen on this form where we just follow up. Other than that, everything usually looks okay. Back here, any questions there? Okay, we're gonna go to the next checklist. Okay, so we won't go too much into these forms here, the CEP provision 2 or provision 3. If you know you need to fill these out, reach out to Nikki Assad. Oops. Reach out to Nikki Assad if you know you have to click on one of these and look over it, because we want to make sure that you're filling it out correctly and the information in there is correct as well, because this will affect your claims. And then so many of you have different scenarios that it'll probably just be best for Nikki to look over it as well, because she knows more about these forms. And we think that'd be the best thing to do for these forms. If you have questions about them, or you know you need to fill it out, contact Nikki Assad. And then, okay. As you know, the last 2 years we have been on seamless summer, which has been a really good thing for the children. At the end of the day, we know that probably was a lot of work as well. And we thank you for doing everything you did. That is, with COVID and everything, it was a pretty scary and a lot of things to do there. So on the seamless summer application, we don't want you to fill this out unless you know you're operating for July and August. If you know you're not operating July and August, but maybe next year, like when May comes around or June comes around and you think you're gonna do it then, fill out the application for May and June, but next year, like around March or April, if you're gonna operate May and June for SSO. If you know you're not gonna do anything at all, don't fill it out right now. If you know you're doing July and August, yes, you need to fill this out right away so that we can get your application looked at sooner than possible, so we can get your claims in, because there is a deadline limit where you have to absolutely get it in before filling out some paperwork, because we want to get your claim in and get that money reimbursed to you right away. So for example, in this, the school is going to operate July and August, and they can only, for August, they can only go up to the day before school actually starts. So the school put in their contact name, they mark down July and August, and if they plan to do May and June, they'll come back next year around April or March and add May and June by clicking these boxes. They will most likely need to contact us so we can unlock the application for them. But in the meantime, they're filling this out for July and August. They're putting Monday through Friday, no holidays. Here's type of site, open. Here's one question we've been getting about this. If you do open, that means you serve any child 18 and under, which is primarily the main purpose of the program as well. Some of you have chosen closed enrolled, which only allows you to serve children enrolled at your school. That's just really up to you. We recommend open so that any child that's 18 and under can receive a meal. That would also be if a child came from Texas and they're visiting grandma, that child, if that child walks through your doors, yes, they are eligible to receive a meal. You're not a camp, so we'll just disregard this box. Number 5, explain advertisement. A lot of people or a lot of schools do use their school website for this one. The local paper is still okay. Number 6, as you notice, there's numbers in here. You don't need to do anything in here. Just skip number 6 because the data will auto-populate in there. It's from the low income report. Disregard this as well because it's all part of number 6. Number 7, the school planned to do their SSO this past Monday. So they put 7/18, and they have to do an internal 3-week review. So they're doing their 3-week review this well, it's Saturday, no, tomorrow, Friday, sorry, tomorrow, Friday. That review form is in other documents, and it's just something you keep at your school in your office. You don't need to send that into us. It's just making sure if you met that way, it's just to make sure that you know you're in compliance and you're running up the program properly. Then their last day is 8/17. So for example, maybe the 18th or the 19th is the first day of school. So that's why they're stopping the 17th. This box is required right now. I normally just put that same thing that the application is just asking for, breakfast and lunch, Monday through Friday. You can add more details here if you need to. Sometimes we've had where the number 9, the time box or the meal box isn't working right. So we add the times here, you know, like 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. You just type it in there. If you need more space, for some reason, you can always click on this corner and this box opens up. One other thing that's really important about this is make sure if you know your site is regular breakfast or severe need breakfast, make sure to click the right box, especially severe need breakfast, because that's usually the higher reimbursement. But right now, for July and August, both breakfasts are the same rate because of the USDA guidance that they gave us to allow you to reimburse you at the summer rates, which are the same. The reason we still have to have you claim it differently, like if you're breakfast or severe need, is because of reporting. They still want to know if you know, if in a normal setting, if we had paid you for these meals, which one would your school have been a severe need or regular breakfast? So in this case, the enrollment or the estimated ADP for this school, they're estimating 200. I normally recommend that you just put your enrollment for the school. That way you don't have to keep calling us back to increase the number if that comes to it, which we don't mind, because we understand it, numbers do go up and down. So I usually just say use your enrollment. That's probably your best bet on both of them. Sometimes maybe your breakfast, you know, you don't get a lot of participation. It could be 100. That's okay too. But it's just what you ultimately want to do. Here's number 9, the meal boxes. Like I said, if this box area messes up, just go to number 7 and type it in there. We tried fixing it, looking at it, but we just, I don't know, there's just something going on in there. Number 10, we added this last year, mainly because of the waivers. So this school doesn't participate in CACFP, so I put 0, and then put no, not applicable. Fill it out as if it applies to you. You might put a 1, you might not. Oop, what just happened? It might not. On here, right now, with COVID, we are asking the schools to keep track of their rosters or their list, like first name and last name of the child. So I checked paper rosters and the meal count sheet. We do have a meal count sheet in other documents as well, but like I said, right now schools are supposed to be taking down like first name and last name on the rosters, or a list of the students that come and grab a meal. And then this can be anything that you feel is needed. I just type this in as an example because I feel like that's the main reason, is to keep accurate counts. And then you'll check this box as well, because for number 11, here are some waivers that USDA extended, but you don't need to fill these out, but you can if you need them. And if you need them, you'll fill it out and contact your consultant, your regional specialist person, because they will ultimately give you the approval just for these waivers. The office will approve your application 1 through 10, but the consultants will approve number 11. And when you fill them out, they will auto-populate here like a summary, and then there will also be an approved or not approved column. And that's one way to check. But another way would just be, your best bet is really to reach out to your consultant so they can, you guys can talk about it and then get it approved, hopefully. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the checklist. And yes, this is being recorded, so we will have this in other documents by early next week, if not sooner. So for example, we did seamless summer, fresh fruit, vegetable. I'm gonna click on it. Again, if you don't have access to it, but you know you want to apply for it, give us a call. We do need to just give you access for that. Rhonda Stevenson is the person that oversees fresh fruit application, and she works here in the office. We do have a Rhonda Stevens, but she is a consultant and works out in the Tulsa area. So Rhonda Stevenson is the person you need to contact for fresh fruit. Fresh fruit vegetable program is only available for the elementary schools. The system does list the high school and the middle school, but we will not approve those because this program is only for the elementaries. Just a FYI. This information will already auto-populate for you. What you basically just need to click on is the severe need breakfast and national school lunch. Maybe in the future we'll get those to auto-populate as well. If you know you're urban or rural, go ahead and change those as needed. On this civil rights, don't worry about this too much yet because these numbers here, they auto-populate from your site applications. And when I go into the elementary site application, you're gonna see that I typed in these ones and the 2 and 3. So that's why they auto-populate here. That way you don't have to go back and forth. So if you see zeros, it's okay for now. Don't worry about it. The site application is where it'll be pulling from. These numbers here, so the system states on this part that it wants your free and reduced meal data from last October, but last October we don't have any free, reduced, or paid meals. We only have free, and that's because you were on SSO. So USDA allowed us to use fiscal year 2020 lunches, free, reduced, and paid. So in the system right now, you're seeing numbers auto-populate from fiscal year 2020. On your end, you won't see that right now because I'm still working with IT to get this out into our system. So you'll see it hopefully by this month. And if you're filling out your fresh fruit and you want to get the application submitted, just for right now, go ahead and just put zeros. But the system will, once we get it out into the system, it will your numbers will override your zeros. And then this auto populates too from the fiscal year 2020 October claim. Fill these out as it best fits your school. I put no there, and then the school does the preparation on site. And your school, no, and yes. Okay, so on this, right now I put just test, just to save us time, but fill it out as best as you can. If you need help on what we're looking for in here, contact Rhonda. She'll probably be the best one to give you the guidance that you need to fill this out. You don't need to put a whole lot either. You can if you want, but we just kind of want it just short and simple in a way. And then as you scroll down, add your contacts. I just did this again just for saving us time. Here is Rhonda Stevenson's email if you need to contact her. We can get her phone number as well if we need to. I was just going through the application as quickly as I could. I didn't have the number there on hand, but we can get that to you. Right here, this is just for Rhonda. Disregard that. She'll look over that when she gets to it. The last thing you'll need to do is check this box, save it, certify it, and then you do need to print this out when everything's ready, because there are some signature pages that you have to sign. Let me see if I can get this pulled up better. Rhonda needs these pages signed, and she'll contact you if she hasn't received it from you. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, I think it wants me to log in. Okay, gotta do it this way. So it won't let me show you right now because I have to like reset my password for PDF files. But basically, when you print the form, it's gonna ask you, or it's gonna print your whole application, right? And if you can kind of see, it's just printing out everything that you did on this application. And then the last page has these signature pages, and that's what Rhonda's gonna need to continue on with your application. Oh, um, so I was told I was on mute, but let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Let's get back together at 11:30. It's 11:18 now. I think we should be able to finish up by noon. It's just a few of these forms and then the claim side. Some of these other forms here, we will not go through it right now because we'll give out training in the near future, like October or around that time frame. So we're almost to the end, but go ahead and take a 10-minute break. See you at 11:30. Hello, everyone. So welcome back from the 10-minute break. Um, we're gonna start with the site applications. This school has 3. I only completed 1. Just kind of a refresher to go over it. So we're gonna start. Um, so we have the principal and the food service manager. Go ahead and fill it out. If they don't have a middle initial, just put a space in there, or even do an X just for now. That'll work. Go ahead and put the number of operating days that your school will have for this site, the number of days operated, how many health inspections. On this one, number 3, um, uh, write down for each site what you put in there, because there's a health inspection report that we'll get to pretty soon. And you want to make sure those match up, because that's one thing that we always have to kind of go back and follow up with the school to say, hey, your numbers don't match here. So in this example, I have this one site that did this one inspection, or they had one inspection. If your school has not had any inspections, please reach out to the health department to just let them know that, hey, you know that you haven't came out to do an inspection at our school. If they don't come out after that, as long as you have that documentation, like an email or a note that says you called them on this day and you spoke with such person to do an inspection, but they haven't came out, that that right there is helpful when we do a review. But you do need to at least reach out to them and get that if you can. And if when we get to a health inspection report, if we see a bunch of zeros, and we'll probably ask you like, why is there just zeros? And just let us know they haven't came out, and we understand. Again, food service personnel. You remember in the permanent policy, I put 7. So this site I put 5. I either have to put a 7, or if I fill out the other site application, I know right there I might need to put 2 or 1, or whatever the situation might be. So again, just make sure those numbers match in those places. Your national school lunch program, you're gonna put a yes here. If you do snacks, then put a yes. If you don't do snacks, just leave it as no. If you do free and reduced meal applications, click this pricing. If the site is non-pricing, where they do provision or CEP, or they are the actual non-pricing, then click non-pricing. So right now, school breakfast program, if you leave it at no, that tells us, and it tells the system that you're severe need. If you mark yes, then you're telling the system you are regular breakfast and not severe need. So leave it as no for most of you. But if you know you don't receive severe need breakfast, you're gonna change it to a yes. Special milk program, leave that as no. There's only 3 districts in Oklahoma that actually participate in this program. And you know which ones you are. So if you do this program, then in that case, you'll put a yes. Okay, we had a question about if you do this national school lunch and the special milk program. Can you email me? I probably have been in contact with you before, and in this scenario, we do have an extra edit in the system that we have to override on our part so that it goes through. It's meant to do it that way. It's just so we all know what's going on with the district serving special milk program, because we only have very few, which is 3. So we have this to auto-populate. So yay, don't worry about this one. It auto-populates from your low income report. Here's number 9. This is, if you remember in the fresh fruit application, I only put 1, 1, 1, 1 and 2, 3. That's why it auto-populated there. But if you change this, it'll change it in the fresh fruit application. The main thing is that these numbers that you put here need to match here as well. So see how I have 5 ones, which is a total of 5. So down here, I also have 5. So if your school is severe need breakfast, leave this as no. If your school is regular breakfast, mark this as yes. If you're severe need breakfast, leave it as no. If you are regular breakfast, change it to yes. Okay. Was there any questions on civil rights? No. Okay. Number 10, choose whichever definition works best for your site here. I think most of them might be on-site preparation, but just read over these and choose the best one. This site here has 1 kitchen and the kids also eat here, and then they have 1 point of service. So that's why they put 1, 1, 1. You might have maybe 2 points of service. That's okay. It just depends on your school. Make sure you just mark down the right thing. Here's offer versus serve. This school is wanting to do offer versus serve, so they checked all these boxes. If you feel like maybe you don't want to do that for the pre-K or kindergarten or first grade, that's okay too. You just do what best works for your school. If you're with a food service management company, you might get in contact with them about this as well, just so both of you are on the same page. I remember last year, maybe your school didn't check these boxes, and then the food service management company realized that you were doing offer versus serve. So they asked you to go back and check these boxes. Um, we had a question about the enrollment data. This comes from October 22 low income report, not 20. We had another question. One moment, we're talking about it here. We had a question. We had a question about the mixed races. If you have a student that's mixed race, we're gonna make a note of that right now, and we'll just have to send that one out and give clarification out in a mass email, because uh, in the past, from what I remember, we would ask that you choose one of the races and enter it here. But then there's also recently there's been changes to the civil rights. And one of those is possibly adding another box where it's 2 or more races. So hopefully, if that's the case, then we'll move forward with that for the fiscal year 24 application. But we're gonna need to get back to you on that question about the mixed races, at least for this year, 23. The main thing for right now is that just make sure that these numbers here match with the 2 boxes at the bottom, because that's the only way the system's gonna save. Yes, so we'll follow up on the question about mixed races. So we're gonna scroll down. We added this last year. we're still working on another verbiage for this. Right now it says SBP, but it's also slash SMB. It's for both breakfasts. We basically just want to know where you're serving the kids at. Is it in the cafeteria or breakfast in the classroom, or grab and go for the breakfast? This grab and go is not due to the waivers. This is before COVID, and it's something that was an option before COVID started, but it's not it's not the grab and go that you did in COVID. This is totally separate. Um, Contact our office if you need clarification for your school, but it's only for the either the regular breakfast or the severe need breakfast, and we're going to add that severe need breakfast wording in here, because we just had questions if that was, does this apply to severe need breakfast as well? And it does. So remember in Schedule A where you were asked to check if the schools were were in after school snacks or CACAP or summer or severe need breakfast. So a lot of that auto populated over here. The fresh fruit and the seamless summer populates based on the application, I believe. So if you need to make changes to this, we just need to look back at another form and get that corrected there. Number 17, not participating in special milk. That has to do with the special milk at the top where we were looking at. So that'll change if this changes here. I mean, the number 17 will change based on what we chose up there at the top. So disregard it for most of you. Number 18, have your grade levels in there. They might be already in there. If everything else looks okay, go ahead and certify the form and go back to the site listing and you can complete your middle school and your high school. I won't do it in this example just because again, we're just trying to finish up on time. But you do need to fill out all the accredited sites. If you have a mobile site in your site applications, we're almost done with that part, but we should be able to get that taken off pretty soon. There was just so much involved with it, but hopefully we'll get those removed soon. We're going to go over to the renewal agreement. In the renewal agreement, there's already stuff that auto-populated based on your site applications. One thing you do have to put is the number of operating days. If you have 3 sites and one site is operating one more day than the other 2 for some reason, make sure you put the highest number of operating day that you have in site applications. Otherwise, the form won't let you save it. Again, these numbers just auto-populated from site applications, the number of eating sites, the kitchens, the food service personnel. On number 5, right now, on my screen, you could see the 1 and the 0s and the 3s. On your screen, in your school account, these are probably blank, or you might have some 0s. Disregard this for right now. We are going to get that adjusted. It's not going to affect your form. This is more of a FYI, a breakdown, if you will. So keep going. Number 6, you just have to click this box. There's some forms listed on your screen. You don't need to do anything with those forms. You can look over them just so you can see what they are, but they're basically everything you've done. It's your free reduced meal application and your some form data from your checklist. On my screen, I have this error, but it's just because I didn't upload it in my test account here. But you'll see it on your end. But there's nothing you need to do with them. You just check the box and continue on with the form, and then save it, certify it, go back to the checklist. We're going to go into the food safety inspection report. You might need to look back at FY20. I feel FY20 might be your best reference. But basically, we just want to know how many sites had how many inspections. So like, let's say this one right here is the elementary. This one elementary had 1 inspection from the health department, and then let's say this is the high school. The high school had 2 inspections, and that's how this form works. We just want to know how many sites you have that had the number of such inspections. If you have 3 sites, you don't need to make sure, you don't need to have them equal 3, because we just want to know which one site had an inspection and how many inspections that was. And again, if you're kind of stuck on it and you need to know what you did in the past, you could look back at last year's. I mean, you could look at all these. I feel like the FY20 is probably your best reference. If you have all zeros because they didn't come out, that's okay too. Certify the form. We'll probably just ask you to make sure if that's correct and just let us know, yes, I've reached out to them, but they haven't came out, if that's correct as well. Other than that, if you receive performance incentive, which is the 7 cents, make sure, all you have to do is just make sure that you automatically have gold locks here. If you don't, email me. I can look at it. Most of them did put gold locks on it, but if you don't have a gold lock, it's either because you don't receive the performance incentive, or you might have one that has a gold lock and the other one doesn't have a gold lock, and it's just something I have to look at it, and I'll put the gold lock right away. It's not gonna delay your application approval, but we do want them to have gold locks automatically. And there's nothing you need to do in there. Just make sure it has the gold locks. And if they don't, just email me. I can look at it. Low income report and the verification report. We'll give out more information and training maybe around October. We'll send out mass emails about that as well. You don't need to do anything right now. These are also tied to like your October claim, November claim, and December claim, which we'll give out more information about that. You don't need to do anything about on this USDA PLE review. Leave it, disregard it. The equipment grant, you don't need to do anything right now. We will send out a mass email when that application for that year is ready. And Rhonda Stevenson is the point of contact for that program as well. If you don't have access to it, again, it's just something we'll give you access when the time comes. It's just on the SFA maintenance page. Okay, so on the uploaded documents, we don't need a new certificate of authority from you every year. We only need it if there's a change. So if you have a new superintendent, we need a new certificate of authority for that new superintendent. If you've been there last year as an authorized rep or 2 years ago, we still have your certificate of authority that you submitted during that time. We don't need a new one. Just make sure that you have this box uploaded checked and the completed box checked, and then we'll do the approved box. Direct deposit, we don't need that. We have all that information. The UEI, we don't need that until it expires. For most of you, I think you're all pretty much good till sometime next year. But just make sure the uploaded box and the completed box is checked. The food service management. So if this is your first year with the food service management contract, we don't need you to upload this. We have that copy here. And as you know, it's like 80 plus pages. Let me check with Becky on one thing, one moment. Okay. If you're on a second, third, fourth, or fifth year with the food service management contract, we need that renewal letter, which the food service management companies are aware that you need that, and what information is needed on that letter as well. When you do have it, go ahead and upload it under food service management contract, and I'll click on this upload documents to show you as well. The agreement for food service, that's really not going to apply to a lot of you schools. If it does, it's maybe 1 or 2. Normally you talk to Becky or Karen about this. if you've already talked to them about this, then go ahead and upload it when it's ready. The year-end expenditure report, we don't need that unless you're up for review, and then your consultant will let you know. So let me go into the upload documents. So here we have two certificate of authorities, the authorized rep and then the superintendent. And then we have Kiefer's UEI, and it doesn't expire till next year, 2023. So one thing you want to know is when you upload something, if you could rename the file accordingly. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but like we normally upload the certificate of authorities, and we usually leave it. We do it in this format just so it's easier, because if you upload it with a bunch of numbers, it'll show just like that, and you know, it doesn't look as clean, if you will. But if you're for the food service management, you're going to upload that here. You're going to upload the renewal letter under this food service management, and it does yes, it does have to be a PDF file. And then once it's in there, just if you want, you can give us an email, send us an email just saying like, hey, it's in there. But when we look at your application, we'll know it's there. This fresh fruit application, don't use that for the signature pages. Get in contact with Rhonda. She's gonna need those. We can disregard these for right now, because the revenue expenditure report that we're asking for right now in regards to the PLE tool, you're gonna email it to that CMP data submissions email. And I think we typed it in the chat, but we could type it in again if needed. Either way, if you send it to the person that's approving your application, well, as long as we have it, that's the main thing, and we'll get it one thing checked off on your school account. Becky, are there any questions? Uh, Becky wanted me to remind you though that on the PLE tool, we've been asking for the expenditure report. Some of you have different systems, but what we're looking for is a revenue expenditure analysis report, and that shows your income and your expenses and your imbalance for child nutrition as of December 31st, because we need to see those things on the report. We've received some expenditures reports where it was just the expenses. And so looking back at what we received, we need the expenditure, we need a revenue expenditure analysis report where it shows those things, which is your revenue, your expenditures, and the ending balance as of December 31st. Okay, so let's say, okay, all this is completed. You have all green locks. I realize I have gold locks on mine. You have green locks. You have this check uploaded and you have this check completed. What you're gonna do next is click submit application to CMP. And this is important. When you click on this, you're gonna get a box that says you successfully submitted the application to CMP. And all you have to do from there is wait for us to follow up with you. But you also wanna make sure that you have this expiration or this timestamp on here. If you don't see this, we haven't received your application. And if you're clicking submit application to CMP and this does not appear, give us a call. And it might be something somewhere on here where maybe there's just a form that's not certified, or it wasn't filled out, or maybe this complete box wasn't checked. That's normally what it comes down to. So yes, if you see the timestamp, then you're waiting on us. If you don't see the timestamp, we have not received your application. We know you're working on your application, but we don't know, oh, it's ready to be reviewed and approved. When we're looking at it, we're gonna, start approving them. But if we have questions, then we'll reach out to you via email. So, or some of us may even give you a call. But we'll be in touch. And then when we approve you, you're gonna see our timestamp here as well. When you see this, this also this is how you also know that you have access to the claims. And also, if you see goal locks, that also helps know, like, we've been reviewing your application and it's being approved. But just remember, you have to have this timestamp here. That way we know it's submitted and ready for review. If you don't see it, we haven't got it. We still believe you're working on it, and we'll get it in to us soon. So what I'm gonna do now, which is we're coming down to the end on this walkthrough. I'm gonna go to the claim side because I'm gonna show you the NSLP claims that you'll be doing this year. The last 2 years you have been doing SSO, and so we just want to make sure we get you squared away for the NSLP. Oops. Okay, so let me, remember I'm logged in as SDE, so I have more access. I gotta pull up the school. Okay, so I gotta remember what I did here. So I think it was August. So the school is doing their application, or they're doing their claim for August. They had, let's say, 10 days. We're gonna get in here. So after you click select, you're gonna see your sites pop up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start with the elementary. And then you're gonna have this drop-down box appear. Make sure that you're going to NSLP, not SSO. We are no longer doing SSO. If you happen to go to SSO, it's because you did actually operate SSO a little bit in August. In that case, you would have a SSO claim and a NSLP claim for August. But most of you will probably just be NSLP. So when you go to NSLP, you're going to see your site claim, and you're going to enter the number of days operated, the number of children enrolled, and I believe it's the last operating day. That's where you get your enrollment, the last operating day, I believe. And then you'll put in your free reduced. You will skip the average daily participation. Those auto-populate. And then one thing you really want to pick up back on is this right here. We do need to know the number of adult lunches and breakfasts that you served for adults. You are not reimbursed for these, but it's just part of the claim. This has also been like that for many years. In SSO, you weren't required to put in adult meals. But now that we're going back to NSLP, you do want that in there. Here's something to note. There's breakfast eligible, ineligible. This is the regular breakfast. This site is eligible for severe needs. So that's why this panel right here, this section is available for them. That way it helps you know, okay, I'm claiming my meals under this program and not this other regular one. So you go ahead and type in the number of meals by status, free, reduced, and paid. Again, these rates are just examples, but as you can see, it's giving you the right amounts in the boxes. You scroll down, then you're in the lunch section. You're gonna type in your lunch meal counts as well for the whole month that you operated. So free, reduced, and paid. The system puts those amounts in there. Now, keep in mind if you get the 2 cents, you want to just make sure it's being calculated in there. So like in this example, I'm just gonna say it's not, because like let's say this school doesn't receive the 2 cents, so that's why it's $3.50. But if they did get the 2 cents, then they would have a 52 instead of a 50. And that's just an example. And then again, if the performance incentive right here, which is these 7 cents, this will auto-populate on its own. Make sure it's in there if you do get performance incentive. Then here's the after-school snacks. If you remember in Schedule D, as in dog, the school was under 50%. So in that case, when they do their snacks, they have to claim by free, reduced, and paid. If they were over 50%, then only the free box would be available, and they would put in 23 here. Let's do like that. Other than that, you're gonna save it. When you save it, you're gonna get us this timestamp here, and I believe this one too, the certified one. Oops. This one right here, you won't see this right away. This will appear after you submit your whole claim, which I will show you right now. So we're done with this site, right? So you're going to repeat the same process for the middle school and the high school, NSLP. You're going to do the same thing. Then when you think you have everything, just make sure you have submit dates over here on the right, because if you go back to a claim and then you realize you have 2 dates but not one, you need to go back to that school and then just look over it again. And if everything looks good, click certify, because you do need to have the dates in there for the system to let you submit the whole claim. So once you have all these 3 certified with dates over here on the right, I know this example doesn't show the dates, but let's assume you have all dates in here, right? The main thing is this important view claim summary button right here. You need this for NSLP claims. You have to go in here so that we can pay your whole claim, 1 grand total. And all you're doing is looking over it. It's gonna auto-populate all the information from your 3 sites. So it, like all these numbers here match my elementary. See, here's regular breakfast, and it's like you see regular breakfast on here because there are some schools where one site is severe need and the other site is not. So when you go to this view claim summary, you'll see your one site that has their regular breakfast, and then you have your other sites that have severe need breakfast here too. You basically just make sure all the numbers added up properly. Here's your lunch, and then here's after school snacks. Again, it just auto populates. Then you scroll down and you click submit. When you click submit, you'll get a message that says, for example, like you and the authorized rep or the superintendent have received a email that this claim has been submitted successfully. And then here's the other thing. See this timestamp? That's good. That tells me I've submitted this as well. That's all you have to do there. And let me go back to the claim so I could show you one other thing. For August, one other way to know that your claim is in our hands is this right here. If you see that it's certified and that it says to be processed, mainly to be processed, this tells you right there that we got your claim. If you see that it says not started, then we haven't received it. One site or several sites haven't been certified and then the whole claim hasn't been submitted. So this will change when you submit the claim to us to be processed. And when we do pay you, like on a Friday, this will change to finished. So to be processed tells you that we got it, it just hasn't been paid yet. When it changes to finished, then we have received it and we have paid you. And then you can always look up payment notices and single sign-on as well. If you need access to single sign-on payment notices, you might want to check with your superintendent to give you that access. Um, Other than that, that's all I have for this. Is there any questions from anybody? Again, so there's no questions, but I'm just gonna bring this up. Make sure you click on this view claim summary button so you can submit the whole claim to us. Because SSO it didn't work like that. SSO was just you certify the site and you were done. But on NSLP, you have to go into this view claim summary so that we can get your claim. And if you do that, or you just want to make sure that you did get the claim in, especially at least for the first month that you're doing your claim, like August. You can email me or email someone here in the office or call us, and we can double check that to make sure it's in there as well. We don't mind, just to get you back on so you feel more confident. You're getting your claims in properly. Other than that, I think we're good to end this. I do appreciate everyone that has attended. I hope you have a great year. If you have a question or anything, please feel free to give us a call. That's what we're here for. We actually enjoy talking to you when you give us a call. You're very nice people, and let's have a great year. Thank you, everyone.